Cool, guys. So we call this panel, I decided to name this panel Bitcoin Renaissance to Revolution, because as Fisher shown us that, what? Okay, we sit in the wrong places.
That's okay.
Nice photos.
Well, I mean, you can tell it's not him, so, you know, he's got the long hair. So yeah, we call this panel the Bitcoin Renaissance to Revolution, because as Fisher's explained, this year, it's first this renaissance, this change within Bitcoin, this reimagination of what Bitcoin can really be, right? And now what we've seen is it will eventually, with this $1.3 trillion asset class, which everyone just holds as a digital gold, as a store of value, it could now be transformed into something so much more than that, right? So that's when the revolution comes into it, the revolution and reimagination of Bitcoin. So with that out of the way, Fisher, I want to start off with, obviously you gave this great presentation in terms of how exciting it's been for you guys with Babylon. And you know, you've had this massive renaissance, you've capped out stake one with like 23,000 Bitcoin,
Yep.
some up to 30 million who deposited, and like 23,000 people.
Yep.
So were you surprised by this massive demand to utilize the Babylon protocol, and what do you think this says about the current state of the Bitcoin network?
Yeah, we are actually humbled by the results we have achieved. Yeah, having like someone stake $30 million in one transaction is something that we never expected before. Yeah, so I think we did a lot of work in convincing Bitcoin holders to take this initial step towards joining other ecosystems and embrace Bitcoin DeFi by inventing Bitcoin staking, the first trustless and self-custodial use case of Bitcoin beside holding and payment.
Yeah, because one of the main points there is, and as we were talking about earlier, is the fact that they don't have to rely on any sort of bridges of any sort, right? It's literally like they can start with the Bitcoin right within their wallet and, you know, fully self-custodial. So Mihailo, I do want to move to you, obviously, because Polygon is very prolific within the Ethereum space, right? And they've got, the first side chains with Matic, and now you guys got the Polygon Hack and all the top of Ethereum. So what's your view on the build space in Bitcoin right now in the L2 space? You know, are you guys working with the projects? How do you involve and see it evolving with the AG and CDKs?
Yeah, sure. First of all, hi everyone. Yeah, great question. Bitcoin is, alongside Ethereum, the most battle-tested chain in the industry, and as such is very well positioned to be a very reliable settlement layer or base layer for any type of layer 2 constructions. And we're very excited to tap into that opportunity and explore that. Aside from that, as we know, Bitcoin is still, I would say, the father of the industry in terms of being the asset that is hovering around 50% of the total market cap of the industry. So it's like huge financial potential there, huge amount of capital, basically, that is by design unproductive, if I may say so. And now with projects like Babylon, we are actually tapping into this huge pool of capital that we can now leverage across the ecosystem, and we are very excited for that. At Polygon, with the egg layer itself, we are basically unifying, I would say, the entirety of Web3, including Bitcoin, and bringing Bitcoin to all these other chains and to the rest of the ecosystem. And I would say it's a perfect symbiosis with what projects like Babylon are doing. So we're very excited about collaborating as well.
Okay, so obviously there's Babylon staking, right? So the Bitcoin staking, but the Bitcoin L2 space is much more than just staking, right? Because you can be utilizing Bitcoin as a security, the Bitcoin security for so many other things built on top of these L2s. So what are some of the use cases and some of the projects you guys see that are building right now in the L2 space that you're particularly excited about?
Yeah, so we are currently focusing on the Cosmos ecosystem and some Bitcoin L2 projects on the DeFi, lending, and real-world assets, so in Oracle's data availability layers. Okay. Quite a wide spectrum, but the focus is on the Cosmos ecosystem.
Okay.
Yeah.
And coming back to that, the whole point about interoperability, obviously, because this is an important discussion right now within the Ethereum space, right? And I'm curious to get your take on it as well, like this question of all these L2s who potentially we have to rely on bridges and there's not that much interoperability between them. Correct. And there's also the concerns now around, is this taking away attention from the main chain, settlement and that. And, I guess the question here is in the long term, building out this massive ecosystem of L2s on Bitcoin, does this potentially lead to a situation later on where you've got, where the transaction fees are no longer going to be paid a lot to support the miners? Is this a concern in the future?
Yeah, so you raised a very good point. Interoperability is exactly the weakness of the current Bitcoin L2s, because current Bitcoin L2s, most of them just copy-paste Ethereum L2 architecture and plug into Bitcoin. So, and similar to Ethereum rollups of layer 2s, the interoperability between those layer 2s are almost non-exist, so that they actually work in silos. That's why we actually prefer the Cosmos ecosystem much better, because the Cosmos chains, they are interconnected using IBC. So if they can somehow become a Bitcoin scalability layer, that would actually be amazing. I think that would be the best Bitcoin, the future for Bitcoin L2, rather than copy-pasting Ethereum L2s and use it for Bitcoin.
Got it. And what sort of breakthroughs do you think are needed for us to get to that stage where Bitcoin can actually settle on main chain?
Sorry?
What sort of breakthroughs do you think are needed for us to get to the stage where Bitcoin can actually start settling on main chain and be proper L2s without relying on bridges and things like that?
Yeah, so, okay. I think that being trustless and self-custodial are the most two important things to achieve for us to build Bitcoin layer 2s or scalability layers. Yeah, so we will keep pushing towards this direction. BTC staking is the first thing we do, and we are working on research and development, doing more native use cases of Bitcoin to make the whole thing happen.
Okay. So, Mihailo, coming back to, obviously, your experience building solutions within the Ethereum L2 space and the Ethereum ecosystem, I'm curious now when you look at it, when we're trying to scale out the Bitcoin L2 space, are there particular things that you think, from your experience within building in Ethereum L2 land, that we can take to utilize within Bitcoin space, like potential concerns that could be raised early on in terms of this concerns about interoperability, and settlement?
Yeah, sure. I think, of course, we are a little bit biased because at Polygon we are all in on ZK, and we have been since 2021 when we published our ZK thesis, and we officially, I would say, went all in on this technology. But I think that has proven at this point to be a very, very good bet, if I may say so. As an industry building scaling solutions, I think we should primarily have ZK in mind. That's the first thing. Yeah. It's a very powerful technology that seems to be able to address basically main challenges that we are facing as the industry. So that being said, with that premise, I think what Bitcoin needs to do is to enable some sort of ZK-proof verification on Bitcoin, and there are now significant efforts there and a significant push in that direction, which I'm very happy to see. And now with the experimentation around opcat, opcode that will possibly be introduced in the Bitcoin script, we are kind of opening the door for that important step. So that would be a major step forward, and it will enable, I would say, proper L2s on top of Bitcoin. That's a major one, I would say. Apart from that, I think keeping an open mind. Bitcoin community has always been pretty conservative, pretty resistant to change, and that's by design. Bitcoiners will say that because it's a highly valuable asset, right? It's $1 trillion worth asset class, so it's reasonable to be very cautious and be very conservative with anything, with any new technology, basically, and any significant upgrade. But that's the only way for any technology, including Bitcoin, to survive, is just to keep evolving and keep being improved. So yeah, I think Bitcoin community needs to be a little bit more open. I think we're seeing that increasingly as of late. Yeah. So that's also a very good sign. And yeah, speaking of keeping an open mind, I think efforts like egg layer are an effort to, I would say, think out of the box or to approach the problem completely differently, where you have this unification layer that can really enable now Bitcoin to flow across the entirety of Web3, basically, across all other chains in its basically native format, secured by cryptography. And I think it's a very also interesting effort, and again, we are biased, obviously, but this egg layer effort is the result of us thinking about how to approach these problems for like 4 years already, and we're very, very excited about also bringing it to the industry.
Yeah, thinking ahead there.
Yeah. I would like to add a little bit to that. I think ZK is actually a very important piece to make Bitcoin ecosystem grow bigger, because Bitcoin itself is so limited, and ZK is the perfect way to extract security from Bitcoin. Yes, ZK is very important.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Yeah, it's the holy grail, the ZK proofs on main chain, on Bitcoin. That's the holy grail of the L2 space without reliance on bridges. So coming back to the point you raised around the hesitance of Bitcoin maxis, I'm curious as to, when you first decided to think you're going to do a Bitcoin staking protocol, right? Because I know it was originally a time-stamping idea. And now, did you not think that you were going to have a lot of pushback from the maxi crowd? Isn't it hard to conceptualize the case for maxis?
Yeah, so if you look at the spectrum of Bitcoin maxis, they are different. Like dead maxis, more progressive maxis, and more neutral maxis. We are actually very grateful that the Bitcoin core developers and dead maxis, they didn't interference with our innovation. So this is the beauty of decentralization. There's no Vitalik right saying, yeah, this is good, this is not good. So they allow us to take our time to build our tech and prove to the world that Bitcoin staking is a native use case of Bitcoin, and convince the more progressive and open Bitcoin maxis to support us and actually stake with us.
Okay, and then obviously there's a lot of excitement as well with the restaking stuff and the liquid staking. So there's the whole DeFi, DeFi summer on Bitcoin coming soon, right?
Yeah.
So back to you with regards to Polygon and the CDKs. I know that you've already started work with a lot of other L2s, right? I think Merlin Chain is utilizing the CDK, as well as you've done a partnership with Botanics and some description with the CDKs. It's are you working with any other sort of Bitcoin L2s right now in terms of working with them with both the CDK or on the ag layer front?
Yeah, there are multiple of them. We are constantly in talks with so many teams and trying to help them basically utilize CDK. And we believe it's a really, it's the best, I would say, bet if you want to go in this direction of ZK. If you want to build your own chain and if you want it to be secured by ZK, I would say Polygon CDK is the best choice in the market at the moment. And we are very excited to speak with all these projects and support them. Currently, again, the slight obstacle is that it's not possible to verify ZK proofs on Bitcoin, but I think we are really going to get there with OpCat and this effort. That there's what's important is that we are really seeing genuine interest and genuine push amongst core developers. So you might see some people on Twitter, some of these again maxis that will go against any type of significant change and whatever, but core developers are really understanding the potential here. And as you said, it's really opening up I would say in the most secure way, opening up Bitcoin, because you're really minimally changing the base layer itself. And you have cryptographic security that all additional logic that you might implement in layer 2 is safe, that no assets are at risk. Yeah. You have this cryptographic security, which is extremely important. And again, we're seeing a huge level of interest among core developers, which is very, very nice to see. And we're working with, I think, 5 or 6 different Bitcoin L2s at this point that are working on utilizing Polygon CDK. So we're very also happy.
Perfect. So Fisher, just going back to the stakers now staking within Babylon, and you said up to 30 million, some of these individuals. Yeah. I'm just curious in terms of a sense, how much of that, do you have any idea what sort of breakdown there would be? Obviously these are, non-KYC and that kind of stuff, but do you think it's institutional demand to want to stake through Bitcoin?
Yeah, so you're asking about the composition of the Bitcoin stakers? Yeah, so we do see both retailers, stakers from the community, and also institutions and custodies. Yes, we have a full spectrum of Bitcoin stakers. And the even larger institutions, they are more conservative. They would like to observe our staking platform to make sure it is secure and then come later. So so Cap 2, we do have some institutes, but there will be more coming.
Cap 2. And when do you have any idea that they're coming up? Is it Cap
3?
Cap 3, sorry. When is Cap 3 coming up? Do you have any ideas when that's going to be rolled out?
Well, I don't want to put pressure to our engineering team, but not very long.
And you'll be increasing stake sizes and everything.
Yeah.
Is BlackRock interested? Yeah. IBIT, they're going to stake IBIT through Babylon.
Yeah. So one thing to say is that we will not run this phase for too long. Yeah. Some projects lock people's assets for a year No, that's not what we do.
Okay, cool. So what are some key innovations? You've obviously talked about some of the key innovations of Babylon that have, that allow for stakers who want to do this and trust to stake with back. Obviously the self-custodial stuff, but there's also they can easily unstake it again. And then also the slashing component, that be able to slash from the,
Yep.
those are some key innovations. You want to tell the audience about that, what makes it like that?
Yeah, sure. So BTC staking allow Bitcoin to become a first-class staking asset for any proof-of-stake system and achieve all the properties of staking asset you can imagine. So what we are trying to do next is to invent more native use cases for Bitcoin based on the current capacity of the Bitcoin script. Like you mentioned, OPCAT, which require upgrade, but there's another direction which is called BitVM, which does not require Bitcoin to upgrade, and still you can verify ZK. So yeah, we are actively exploring that direction at the moment. Okay.
So I'm curious in terms of from your perspective, what are the key, not necessarily risks, but obstacles for Bitcoin reaching this revolution of what would obstacles you face from people? Obviously, we've mentioned the Bitcoin maxis, people who are hesitant, but what are the obstacles you foresee, that you guys foresee for the Bitcoin space, Bitcoin L2 space?
Maybe,
Mihailo?
It's a good question. I think aside from, as you said, this reluctance from some parts of the Bitcoin community, I think I'm not sure if there are any other obstacles, basically.
There are so many obstacles.
It's just minimally invasive changes to the protocol are required, and there is already excitement about them, and people are working on them. I'm not sure if there are any other risks. Nothing comes to mind, to be honest.
So it's just changing minds,
I think changing mindset a little bit, but even the mindset is definitely changing. We are seeing that amongst the people that really do understand the technology, among core developers, and they are the ones who are kind of taking the most, their responsibility is the highest here, and they are the most excited about this, because I think, number one, they understand the potential, and number two, they understand that risks are, I would say, acceptable, and they are the experts. So I think we are in a pretty good position there, I would say.
Okay. Do you want to add to that?
Yeah, some obstacles, apart from the mind change from Bitcoiners, is the infrastructures and tools available on both the Cosmos ecosystem and the Bitcoin. Like, for example, wallets, the number of wallets that support full functionality of Bitcoin apart from transfer is very limited. And for Cosmos, there are only 2 very popular wallets. Yeah, and then DeFi and stuff, everything is in a very basic form. So nothing compared to Ethereum or Solana ecosystem. So yeah, in order to acquire users, there's still a lot of work needs to be done.
Yeah. Okay. So in terms of acquiring those users, do you think that it's more on the crypto native side or the institution side that needs to bring it on board and to be able to pull that liquidity? Because now Bitcoin's become more of an institutional asset, right?
Yeah, but I think both set of users are very important for Bitcoin adoption.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
We don't have a preference.
Okay, so obviously we've talked a lot about Babylon and the work that Polygon is doing, but are there any other projects that within the Bitcoin L2 ecosystem now that you that you're very excited about, or that are doing big things that you wanted to talk about?
I think Sandeep would definitely better. My co-founder, he's more on the business side. I'm more on the tech side, so I guess he would be better to answer this question. There are 5 or 6 that I definitely know that we are in talks with, but I cannot mention any specific one.
Okay. Fisher?
Yeah, so we are building our ecosystem grant project to provide full support to any Cosmos chains that are interested in Bitcoin staking. We provide grants, co-marketing, co-BD, and also a hackathon to give you all the support you need.
Okay. So 5 years, let's do a prediction, 5 years time. 2 questions. 1, how much you think will be staked through Babylon? And 2, how do you think the Bitcoin L2 space will look?
Yeah, my moonshot will be 49% of Bitcoin staked.
49%?
Bitcoin staked.
Wow, okay,
yeah,
that's...
we don't want to like dominate by having 51%. Like 49 is perfect.
Okay, Mihailo?
Yeah, I don't see why not, because again, Bitcoin is $1 trillion asset, and it's currently an unproductive asset by design. You cannot do anything with it apart from holding it, right? Whereas the Ethereum and Atom and proof of stake assets, they are productive assets. You can actually use them. They have additional utility. You can generate yields or returns by performing useful work in the protocol. And there's no reason, capital doesn't like to sit idle. And we have $1 trillion that are kind of sitting idle. And there's no reason not to employ that to generate some return by actually doing meaningful work and securing protocols within the ecosystem. There's no reason why that wouldn't happen, in my opinion. So yeah, I think that prognosis is fair. Why not? And in terms of interoperability and Bitcoin layer 2 ecosystem, I think this is maybe not a really controversial take, but again, a little bit different view. We think with this framework of egg layer, like it's almost like there won't be this concept of layer 2 strictly. Like we can unify all the chains, including Bitcoin and Bitcoin L2s and Ethereum L2s and Cosmos chains. What we need to do actually as the industry, if we want to reach mass adoption, we need to unify all these venues of liquidity and usage into a single global network of value. I think our thesis is that only then we're going to actually reach mass adoption. Like the same as it happened with the internet. Like only when we were able to unify all local networks of information into one single global network that looks and feels as one single network. That's how we use the internet today. And we, like, if I'm sending messages over the internet, I don't care if they're traveling between different local networks or whatever. This feels like a single global network. That's what we need to build in Web3. So for the end users need to feel like they're using one single global network. And I think with something like the egg layer, we can unify all these chains and this thriving ecosystem of Bitcoin, anything that's built on top of the Bitcoin, Ethereum, anything that's built on top of Ethereum into one single network of value. And that is our basically dream. That's our vision. And I think then we can really have this wide adoption.
So completely abstract away the concept of different networks, of
Exactly.
everything. It's just one massive cryptocurrency, the protocol that people can use on top of
Exactly.
Bitcoin, secured by Bitcoin, the biggest asset class in the world.
Exactly.
Do you think that Babylon will reach 49% of all staked Bitcoin?
Yeah, why not?
Thank you so much.
Cool, guys. So I think we're running up on time, but if you guys want just a few final thoughts on what you see in Bitcoin L2 space and for the core audience as well.
Yeah, so Bitcoin L2 space is fascinating, and I believe that Bitcoin plus Cosmos is actually the right answer to the concept of Bitcoin L2.
Okay.
Yeah, from my side also, very excited to see Bitcoin opening up and all the possibilities that we're exploring now. And as well, I would really like to mention the Cosmos community. Cosmos community is one of my favorite, definitely, crypto communities. I think primarily due to its openness, number one. It has always been a very, very open community, open to new ideas, open to exploring different directions, different opportunities, sometimes even to disagree on certain topics within the community. And that has always been fascinating to me. It's much better to have that type of mentality than some, I don't know, some really narrow mentality where we're all thinking the same and are all doing the same and we have the same kind of set of dogmas that we're all following. Cosmos is literally the opposite of that. So that's one of the reasons why I really like the Cosmos community. And the other reason is that Cosmos is built on this premise of multi-chain. The founders of Cosmos had I would say the wisdom and vision to capability to realize that only in the multi-chain setup we can achieve mass adoption with this technology. And these are, I guess, two reasons why I really like, again, this community and all this kind of intersection and interoperability is going to be very exciting to observe. And I think Cosmos is one of the pioneers there when it comes to that. So yeah, very excited that see actually all of that playing out now. Everything that the Cosmos community has been talking about since 2017, we are now actually seeing playing out. And I think that the end goal here is, for the benefit of the entire society, is basically convergence or amalgamation or unification of all these communities, like Bitcoin community, Cosmos community, Ethereum community. That's all going to be one single Web3 network, as I said. That's kind of the vision, and I'm very excited that we continue marching towards it.
Cool, man. Lots of love for the Cosmos community, guys. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. I'm very excited about this renaissance that's going to become a revolution, this reimagination of Bitcoin, and all together, yeah, excited for the change.
Thank you so much.
Cheers, guys.